I am in Racket Lake, New York State, and I have the privilege of being with Laura George. Laura, how do you do?
I'm very well, thank you. Happy to be here.
Tell me, what do you really do in life?
Well, presently I am the executive director of an educational charity called the Oracle Institute, and we operate out of a very small town in Southern Virginia called Independence, Virginia, and we do two things. We have a publishing house through which we publish books related to religion and spirituality, and then we also have a spirituality school that sponsors multi-faith coursework.
In your school, who goes to these schools and from what age to what age?
We've not done any programs for children yet, so they are they vary from beginning level introductory courses to religions which are typically not common or not well known in the United States, to sophisticated programs, programs where we study the Jewish Kabbalah, for instance, and also Gnostic Christianity. So they vary depending on the audience that we're trying to reach.
Okay. What does your religion do exactly?
Well, we promote the esoteric paths of all of the 5 primary religions. So we teach Hinduism, Judaism, Buddhism, Christianity, and Islam, but not the orthodox paths that people would get if they were to go to church or go to temple. We prefer the mystery paths, the esoteric paths. So for people who prefer the Jewish tradition, we offer classes in the Kabbalah. For people who prefer the Christian tradition, we offer lessons in Gnosticism, things like that.
And the magazine, what's the purpose of your magazine exactly?
Well, we publish books.
Oh,
We do have a newsletter, but the books that we publish are primarily geared to an Orthodox audience. Our primary mission, our mission statement, is to create an interfaith atmosphere in the United States where we operate, and we are in the Bible Belt, so it's a very challenging audience that we are approaching, a very wary audience. So our goal is to try and, with the Christian fundamentalists in particular, show them how the teachings of Jesus are compatible with, and not only compatible with, but seamlessly intertwined with the teachings of the other major prophets.
I understand you were talking about a little town somewhere in Italy. Could you tell us what's so special about this little town?
Well, we have a special affiliation with a community called Damanhur, which has been voted the most utopian community on the planet. And the structure of their community is such that they have created a full-functioning insular society. So in other words, they have schools for their children, they have medical facilities for their residents, they even have their own currency and a microeconomy. So Damanhur is very special in that there's no other community on the planet that it's reached that level of sophistication, and we've been very fortunate to publish the founder's books. The founder is a man by the name of Alberto Falco Araudi, and I'm sad to say he passed just a week ago, right after we published his book. So it was a great honor to publish his books before he died.
And what are your intentions? You intend to get other towns to become to copy the same kind of basic structure? Or?
Yes, Damanhur was built as a model for the rest of the world, and as I've already said, it's the furthest along in creating what we would consider to be a full functioning society. There are other communities around the planet that have almost reached that level of complexity, but really none other. So my personal dream, after we get Oracle firmly established in Virginia, we're building our headquarters right now, is to do a similar project, an Americanized version, because one of the tenets of Damanhur is that their experiment, which was successful, after 30 years I think we can say it was a successful experiment, is particular to that region. It works for Italians, and it works for Italians who have a very open-minded spiritual preference. So where I live in Virginia, you know, it would be tailored to that region, to the people who live there, the natural resources of the area, and also the temperament of of the people who live there.
So your kind of spirituality, what would make it different or perhaps advantageous versus other kind of spiritualities?
Well, the reason there are so many reasons why Damanhur is unique, but in my view, the primary reason is that their spiritual focus is the glue that holds them together. So, you know, hundreds of years ago, what would be the first thing they would build in a town square would be the church. And Damanhur did the same thing. The very first thing they built were their temples, which have been called the eighth wonder of the world, by the way. They are phenomenal. So we're in a similar manner. We are building a sacred space right now in Independence called the Peace Pentagon, and it's going to house our publishing operations. But it also has a sacred space, a chapel inside of it, and that to me is the glue that holds community together. In terms of the specific spiritual trajectory it would take, I, like the founder of Damanhur, believe that we are progressing beyond the five religions which are predominantly practiced today. So Hinduism, Judaism, Buddhism, Christianity, Islam. That if we don't move into the esoteric paths of each, it's probably time for some new theosophy. So while we're not a New Age organization by any means, we do believe that religion, like everything else, is evolving.
Why did you call it the Pentagon?
Well, there's part of it is to counterbalance the energy of the War Pentagon in Northern Virginia. We're in Southern Virginia, so we've got the War Pentagon on the Potomac, and we have the Peace Pentagon along the New River, which ironically is, many geologists think, the oldest river in the world. I also believe in that sacred space should have sacred geometry. The geometry of the pentacle is, retains the golden mean, emulates all sorts of natural and powerful symbology. So anyway, we decided that the Pentagon was the appropriate shape, also because our symbol is a five-pointed star with a circle around it, and to us it represents unity among the five primary religions.
Well, very good. Anything you would like to add?
Well, I truly believe we are on the verge of a major paradigm shift, the likes of which we have not seen since Jesus walked the planet. One of the core theories of the Institute, and we are predominantly a think tank, is that mankind has passed through five paradigms. There was pre-Big Bang, this all is one, the unity, when God was the only thing that was here. We were a thought in the mind of God, you might say. Then there was this some sort of expulsion or a Big Bang. In the Christian tradition, it's the fall of mankind, but the separation started. And that would be the second paradigm, and that was a paradigm of goddess worship, which was the longest lived. It lasted 20,000 years, most anthropologists and archaeologists believe. Then we went into a period of polytheism. So we had gods and goddesses. And of that era, only one religion survived, and that's Hinduism. So the Roman pantheon of gods and the Egyptian pantheon of gods, they're all in our history books now. We study them, but that one religion survived, and there are interesting reasons why. And that was the third paradigm. And then with Abraham, Jesus, Muhammad, we came back to monotheism, but we entered an era in which, unfortunately, mankind couldn't envision a genderful God, so we came into a period of male monotheism. So we go from female goddess worship to polytheism. We're in male God worship at the moment, but we see that structure crumbling for obvious reasons. It's it's a personification of God, which is elementary for a sophisticated culture, and it also doesn't even begin to explain the great mystery. So I think we're about to enter the fifth paradigm.
One last little question. What benefit would children get more than any other religions or any kind of philosophies?
Well, I was raised Catholic, and the first time I told my kids we were going to church, they were like, "Oh no, what is she doing? Where are we going?" And I put them in the car, and we went to a river, and we talked about God. And I did my best at that time as a young mother to give them an idea of what all cultures thought about God. And I think that's how we best serve our children. Oracle has also helped to found a Unitarian Universalist church in Independence, Virginia. And the UU Sunday School program is beautiful because it shows children a very good, gives them a foundation, a very solid foundation, each one of the 5 primary religions. So for me, that is what I would do. We underestimate the intelligence of children, and I think if we provide them with this information by the time they're teenagers, young adults, they can then pick a path that resonates with them. And all paths lead to God.
Well, Mrs. Laura George, it was a pleasure.
Thank you very
I
much.
wish you the best, and may it spreads all over the world.
Thank you.